I'm David Asman in for Lou Dobbs. Well, Republican Congressman Luke Messer launching an effort to nominate President Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize for his role in the North and South Korean peace talks. Messer saying in a statement, quote, "We are seeing unprecedented progress toward peace, and it's a direct result of President Trump's strong leadership." Now, you'll recall President Obama received a Peace Prize in 2009. That was just 8 months into his first term, something that even Obama himself joked about. Joining me now is Gina Loudon. She is a member of the Trump Media Advisory Board and a former Trump campaign surrogate, and radio talk show host Dom Giordano. Well, Gina, I wouldn't hold my breath for this, would you?
No, I wouldn't, but we shouldn't have to know that this president probably won't get it simply because of politics and political differences when, you know, Obama himself, like you said, practically admitted that all he had to do was get out of bed after 8 months of presidency, oh my goodness, and get the Nobel Peace Prize. But certainly Donald Trump deserves it for the strides he's made in this world.
And Tom, I mean, there have been precedents of presidents getting Nobel Peace Prizes, presidents that didn't necessarily correspond with the notions or the ideals that the Nobel Peace Prize Committee was set up for.
Well, if all goes well with the summit and all that, and if we see some of the signs, David, that we're seeing play out today, if North Korea shockingly would denuclearize, I think that's worthy of several Nobel Peace Prizes. I am still stunned at the methodology that Trump is using, walking this line between keeping us out of interventionism and yet at the same time making progress with the North Koreans, for example. It's an amazing line being walked so far.
It is extraordinary. And Gina, what is additionally extraordinary is how off-putting it is to our enemies. That is, you think of somebody like Kim, who, rather than getting diplomatic talk, once we receive all the garbage that he throws out at us, he gets tough talk. My nuclear button is a lot bigger than yours. And then you get the turnaround and say, hey, look, I'm willing to talk to you in person. I mean, he must be scared to death. He had us figured out, and now he doesn't.
It's the quintessential Trumpian art of the deal, and the reason a lot of people voted for this president in the first place. He also doesn't take the stereotypical ideas that have sort of always been the way that things were handled. You know, either we completely do nothing like Obama with North Korea, or, you know, the John McCain or the war hawk, you know, we go in and we do something dramatic. He's kind of taken this middle road, and he's done it a few times and kind of rewritten the playbook entirely. And this is what a master negotiator does. This is what he's known for, and he's doing a good job of it.
And while, as a result of that, Dom, he may be worthy of getting a Peace Prize, you know, I think back, from my perspective, I think back to Yasser Arafat. When Yasser Arafat, the man responsible for modern-day terrorism, received the Nobel Peace Prize, and then went on, of course, after he received it, to encourage and perhaps literally had blood in his hands from other terrorist acts, I realized that from then on, I mean, any talk of the Peace Prize was nonsense. By the way, the guy on the right there's Yasser Arafat on the left. That's Le Duc Tho on the right. He was a North Vietnamese politician who received one jointly with Henry Kissinger. The thing after these two guys got it was a joke. Don't you agree?
Well, it is. And, David, you know what's sad to me? I liken this to the same thing with the UN. When I was growing up, the UN, we went to New York with the UN. We had these hopes for it, and we saw it in an innocent kind of way, versus today it's worse than worthless. It's the same thing with the Nobel Peace Prize. This used to really mean something, and they've so tarnished it, the politics of it. This is a big-time honor. We need to restore honors that actually mean something, because I think they're helpful. They do get politicians and others to want to work toward that. Instead, it's just another political sort of thing that goes on with these.
Well, Gina, what matters to Donald Trump is not the accolades he gets, but the results that he gets. And I think that's one of the reasons that Americans voted for him. And I believe, even with all the rhetoric that you hear and all the polls that you read that say there's going to be a blue wave in November, that the American people, when they see the results, whether it's on the economic front or on the diplomatic front, they're going to buy into the results.
It's all about results for President Trump. That's all he's known his entire life and career, are what kind of results can I get out of the last negotiation so that I can move on to the next negotiation. It's amazing, especially, David, when you consider that he's accomplished almost 70% of his campaign promises already in a year and a half with really zero help from the media, the establishment, and certainly no help from outside forces like Nobel Peace Committees.
I would say there's been a negative. I mean, you look at the Russia probe. You add that, of course, to the regular media harping on anything that they think is improper or incorrect in what he does, whether he's tweeting or whatever. But the Russia probe in particular, it received a setback today with the House Intel saying there was no collusion. But already the liberal media is saying that this is no good because it's a Republican-controlled committee. Will this House Intel conclusion have any effect at all on Mr. Mueller and his investigation?
No, and no. None of that matters to Mueller. I think everybody that's reasonable understands that. And it does have a good effect for President Trump in that it gives him a talking point to continue to bring this up. And, David, the only thing that I worry about with President Trump, again, this gets to what we're talking about, negotiating, et cetera, closing a deal and moving on. In Washington, particularly with Mueller, there's not resolution. He has to accept that more. And I know for a guy like that, direct action, check the box, we're going to move on to the things the American people want done. That's very difficult. But that's what this is about. It's not about anything real.
So, Gina, how long do we have to wait? I mean, what happens if a year from now the Mueller investigation is still going on?
Right. How many tens of millions of taxpayer dollars, David, are going to satisfy the Democrats and the witch hunters that they finally carried out a full investigation? I mean, at what point? Maybe we should make them set their own markers, because right now I think their only marker is to try to find or make up something that the president did, maybe even if it's just a sin of omission. It's time to end it. And even Democrats are saying so now.
And I just want to stick with you, Gina, and then I'll get Dom come in. This is why I'm against a second special counsel. I know a lot of folks in Congress, Jim Jordan and others, say we need one to investigate the investigators. But I think anything originating from inside the swamp, inside the Beltway itself, is going to end up bad. What do you think?
You make a great point, David. It's very savvy, and it's honest, because we've seen how far all of this corruption goes. It is much deeper than I even thought, and I was one of those full on board to vote them all out, get them all out, vote in a maverick, someone like Trump, who's a maverick, to get them gone, to drain that swamp. But even I didn't realize how deep it is, and we see more every single day. So you may be right about that.
Dom, a second counsel, quickly. I don't think I think there's a fear that this will expand into something like Mueller. What do you think?
Yes, I agree with you. And one of the reasons is this. It's not just about power and Democrats and all that. People like Mueller, you're in the spotlight, David.
Right.
The longer this goes on, the more you're in the center ring. And that's what these people live for, in addition to the agenda.
That's right. Power is addictive. Gina Loudon and Dom Giordano, good to see you both. Thank you very much.